Good to have you back in the shed.
Thank you. I'm doing pretty well. Yeah. How about you? How are things?
Things are good. The knee is coming along, progressing nicely. I'm like a month out from my surgery. I was just biking around the neighborhood. I biked to Bike Happy Hour.
It's pretty good.
A little, gingerly and carefully, but at least I can bike. And yeah, little setback with like hamstring being super tight.
Yeah.
But
not moving for a while.
Yeah. I'm just in the slog of like, yes, there's a lot of progress and I'm like excited for it to be good and better, but then it's still not ready for prime
What are
time.
your favorite PT exercises?
Favorite PT exercises?
What are they having you do?
I like the quad related stuff where I'm like got a little band around my ankles.
Okay.
And I have to do like a quad extension because that's like something I can visibly see. Like I can see
you
the
can
quad
see the
muscle twitching.
engaging.
Exactly. And it's just like so exciting. It's like it's like, come on, it's got like this failure to thrive, and so it's just all droopy and I just see these little twitches and I was like, okay, that's like my little tadpole in the dish, like someday.
So the hamstring stuff is a little harder because you can't see it.
Some reason I got like super tight and it's like this knot and it is like, really painful. So
do you have one of these outrageous scars?
Yeah, it's super long.
Yeah.
Big old scar. That was like one of the many humbling moments of this whole episode, Not to mention that every single person I tell about it tells me about their 80-year-old grandma that had the exact same thing. No, it's going to be good. I'm excited. Until June 20th, and I get to start all over again. So
they're doing the other one?
Yeah, it'll be a fun summer. I'm just like eagerly awaiting this to be as strong
You're
as
like
possible.
a little kid who like broke their arm the last day of school. And like,
yeah, exactly. I know. But that's been fun. Yeah, it's been neat meeting a bunch of people in the bike scene that have joint replacements and knee problems and all that sort of stuff. So that's basically the bulk of the conversation.
You're just finding the Venn diagram.
Yeah, exactly. People just come out of the woodwork.
Yeah.
They're limping up into Bike Happy Hour like, hey, man, I heard you. Me too. All right, let's do bike summer ride
camaraderie
together. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. You done anything cool lately? Any joint replacements or anything like that?
No, honestly, pretty healthy.
I was actually kidding about that. I know you're healthy. I was just in general. Anything you got going on? Stop.
I broke my toe once a long time ago. It bothers me now.
Because you're wearing open-toed sandals?
It was the soccer incident in elementary school.
It still bothers you?
No, it like started bothering me like 5 years ago.
I don't think they do
toe
replacement.
It's like the toe has sort of like slowly turned on its side.
Oh.
It's weird.
Interesting.
Anyways, that's my...
What about
What about other things that I've done with my life?
Related things,
yesterday I saw 2 different people I knew on bikes out in the world. And then a third person when I was parking my bike. I just felt like, I don't know, Portland's such a cute small town sometimes. I saw Becky from, Cycle Oregon, but also Makeshifter Bags.
Oh, okay.
I actually saw her twice.
Yeah, she's working at Cycle Oregon now. I just saw that. Yeah, from Golden Pliers.
Sean
opened up that and then does the bags and working with Sean at Cycle Oregon for
helping kids ride bikes.
And did you get to go to the big
good stuff?
Yeah, you got to go to the Cycle Oregon block party.
Yeah, which was really awesome. There were tons of people there.
Good,
happy people. Also, the Blaze. What is
Blaze?
Okay.
Yeah.
The cat.
I was glad to see that.
Yeah.
I don't know if people know, but Chris Stefano, who's now back at Cycle Oregon as their marketing and communications person, big basketball fan.
Okay.
So he's one of us.
So Chris made that happen.
Yeah, there's several people in the bike community that we've placed strategically to keep the basketball integrations alive in any opportunity. So
nice.
He brought Blaze over. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so good engagement. Lots of people from all different sides of the bike industry. And I saw Ray, another volunteer for Cycle Oregon, who was like hustling, trying to park all the bikes because they did not have enough bike parking.
Always a fun.
Yeah.
I was going to say good problem, fun problem. I don't know. It can be annoying too. Or you're
good problem.
Yeah, good problem.
Just playing Tetris.
Yeah, so good to see that. Like a big block party thing. Cycle Oregon's never done that before. They're not necessarily known for that. Obviously, they're trying to kind of shift into a different kind of organization, which is cool. But yeah, just like what do you call it? Non-denominational bike get-together, which is sort of a throwback to the older days when we would do more stuff like that, and it's just a good, healthy sign. And from what I could tell from my couch, it looked super well attended. And to me, is always like, is it going to be a good cross section of different groups and people?
Yeah,
right. That to me is like the test, and it definitely.
Yeah, I mean they had Bike Loud was tabling. Bike Summer was there. Sam Balto from Bike Bus World. Somebody from the Trails Coalition or Northwest Trails Alliance.
Yeah. Good.
Yeah, it was cute. And then they had penny farthings you could ride and a reverse steering bike, which nobody could do.
Yeah.
I didn't even try it.
Those are, yeah.
I did try a swing bike at Bike Happy Hour.
Oh, I saw a video clip of that. That looked fun.
Of me?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Those are neat.
Did they show me crashing?
No. I'll have to request that.
Yeah, no, it's
that
fine.
video. Okay, what did you call it? What is it called? The opposite steering or the
reverse steering.
Reverse steering. Okay. I have this very like egotistical thing of my bicycling thing, which is like I can ride any bike. Like I'll ride any bike, right? That's the one bike I can't ride. Like I've tried it and your brain hurts. It's super interesting. I love trying to.
Someone also told me once you get the hang of it, then you get on a regular bike and you can't ride a regular bike.
That just seems like a whole bad situation. I'm glad they exist, but I'm sure there's a fair number of people that have hurt themselves
just
in
a fun,
late night shenanigans trying the reverse steering bike. Yeah, it's basically what it is, folks, is somehow they set up the stem to have like a gearing thing so that anyway, the way you move the bars, the forks go the opposite direction.
Yeah.
That's all that's happening, right?
You turn the handlebars left and your bike goes right. So
why is that so hard for us to figure out?
Try it.
I mean, if you're ambidextrous, is that an advantage? I'm trying to think, what if someone just sat on it and could just ride the reverse bike? I would be like, all hail.
What? Also, are you okay?
Yeah, like that.
Have you ever ridden a bike before?
That person has to have some sort of
It'd be like if you got on a unicycle and just.
Well, that's different. I mean, I should. Yeah.
Can you ride a unicycle?
I can't ride a unicycle either. I think that's a little different. That's more of just like a.
Right. My brother told me,
like
you can do a track stand. You should be able to unicycle. And I was like, no.
I think I could if I spent a little more time on it. I've just never committed fully to the unicycle, partly because of my history of knee problems. Anything that requires the times I've ridden. Cop out. I mean, if I have a history of stepping off things incorrectly and ending up in the hospital.
Okay.
And that is also why I've had some of my most scary moments in this community riding really, really, really tall bikes without finding a place to stop. Oh my gosh, like nightmare fuel for me. Because if you think about teetering over and sticking out a leg,
leverage.
It's like perfect ACL breaking of your knee. Yeah, there was one time on Alberta Street a long time ago at the clown house where I rode like one of Dingo the Clown's like triple talls or something. And I remember it was last Thursday, super crowded streets. Like it was just really awkward and just desperately looking for a place that I could like prop myself up on in the neighborhood. Anyway, got lucky and found like somebody's hill in front of their house and was able to get off safely. But anyway, I don't do those things anymore.
What's the proper technique? Like, do you find a car or like a telephone pole or
something to get down. Although, I mean, it even just depends. Like, I mean, I think ultimately the technique would be to be able to climb down as you still have a little momentum.
Okay, sure.
Because obviously as soon as your momentum stops, you start to tilt like a ladder, right?
That's also trippy, like you're on a moving ladder, basically.
It just takes like young, bendable body and guts and stuff, which if you start losing...
Cirque du Soleil.
If you start losing those things, you're in trouble. So anyway, tall bikes, those are fun things. We should have just like a freak bike day that everybody can just go out and ride them.
Yeah, try them out.
Yeah. I almost actually had a hand bike, not that they're freak bikes, a hand cycle that I had reserved from Adaptive Bike Town last week or the week before. But it was kind of like the day that I finally figured like I'd ride my bike at home. So I was like, I canceled the reservation, but I was going to go down there to do a hand cycle just to get out on the spring water.
Yeah.
See what that's like. I didn't do it. So.
I think it would be a lot of work.
Those bikes are there. People should know. Like, go on Adaptive Bike Town's website.
It's free. It's like you get an hour for free or something.
And they let you it's like a menu. You can see all these different cool bikes. You can try hand cycles, trikes, different trikes, things like There's all kinds of interesting things. I'd recommend going and checking those out. I don't know.
I've never ridden a hand cycle.
No.
Have you?
Yeah.
You have?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. They're neat. I've done a few stories about people who rode hand cycles, and each one I was able to ride them. But they're interesting. You're also super low to the ground, which to me
I've ridden a few recumbents, and it's always a little unnerving.
Yeah, I like our little recumbent crew we have over at Bike Happy Hour. We got a little
the Bike E.
Yeah. There's a little group of recumbents that will show up. That's always fun. So yeah, I can't wait for next week. Going back down to Rainbow Road in Ankeny. That should be interesting, fun.
What's happening with migration? Like you're just like nope.
Well, it's not like that.
Yeah, no.
Nothing's happening there. It's an awesome place. I really wish we could stay. I was a little bit sad, shed a little tear about leaving, but I just felt like for the upside for bike happy hour, like if it was a personal decision, I would have stayed at Migration. But I'm feeling like there's more potential and more interestingness in being on Rainbow Road for just various different reasons, just like how visible it is. I really like that.
Yeah.
I feel like it's just a known place in the city. It's central. We're in a plaza.
We are really tucked away in the back at Migration.
Yeah.
Although
we're really tucked away.
Whatever day that was, 2 days ago, I met 2 different people who were just there having a drink and didn't know about bike happy hour. And then I talked to them. For a
that's
bit.
cool. I like that. I like that. So yeah, Migration was great. But it's like, it's quaint and small. And I think it maybe is limiting bike happy hour's full potential. We'll say.
Fair enough.
We'll see. I mean, if Ankeny doesn't knock my socks off, I always got. Then I'm also curious what the new Gorgeous vibe will be like. It's been all remodeled, and there's like a new staff, and there's like new furniture out in the street. So, and the city's upgraded there, so it's kind of split in half now. There's like part of it is a Peabot Plaza, and then part of it is Gorgeous, seating. So no drinking in the city of Portland side, folks. So if you're out there, I'll have to keep reminding you. But they put out the city put out this beautiful redwood furniture, benches, and like a stage. Very communally oriented, which is I think is really cool. The city's invested in that plaza. It's kind of one of the marquee plazas in the city. So I'm like, hey, we just gotta be right in the middle of that. I think it's really fun, and I love like the Kernside Business Association that's coming up. I feel like there's more interest from other businesses in that space, which kind of gives the potential for some cool, collabs and whatnot for bike happy hour. So
yeah, I mean, there's lots of restaurants and bars along that corridor too.
Yeah. So it'll be good.
I just went to City State for the first time. Have you ever been there? It's a diner that's been there forever on the other side of Burnside.
Oh,
it's
cool.
At like, half a block north of Burnside.
It's a good spot.
Just a good, if you want an egg and cheese sandwich kind of thing.
Nice. We have to start talking about little local businesses and cafes and things more.
Yeah.
I feel like I love them so much, and like I'm always like eager to go out to them anytime I can. But like from what I hear from the people that own them and just looking at the trends, like it's still not great. Like they're not out of the woods from COVID and just everything right now, inflation and who knows.
People are penny pinching, I think.
Well, I think like a lot of the that's absolutely the case too. But like unfortunately, a lot of the like isolationism trends of like sitting in your house and pushing buttons instead of leaving and meeting people is still I think impacting people not getting out. But like we need to talk about getting out to these places, these third spaces are so important. These bars and coffee places and, little restaurants. I saw some great news. Steph Routh posted something about a new coffee place. I think like 46th and I should know. Park Rose Coffee House.
Okay.
It was really cool.
Cute.
It was like a woman who really thought the community needed a place to gather, and they don't have a community center or a library. And she's like, I can't start one of those, but I can start a coffee place.
Yeah, right.
So it's like a really community-oriented coffee place just opening like I think this weekend. So love hearing about stuff like that.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, big believer in getting people out in these spaces and like how it can help the city. But I don't know. How are you feeling about Portland in general in our
yesterday or last couple of days, I've been seeing people riding bikes, which is heartening for sure.
Okay, but
I saw a line outside of Porcano, which felt like another era.
Good.
I was like, wow, look at that.
See another local business thing, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So I think, I don't know. It's hard to see through like the veil of all of the federal policies and the budget woes of Portland. But I feel like Portland is resilient.
Yeah. I'm hearing that a lot. Like people are mentioning how many people they're seeing on bikes around town. I agree. It is kind of like a barometer for the health of Portland, I like to think.
Yeah.
And with all the different changes in travel behaviors after COVID, we don't really see the same kind of like morning and afternoon platoons we used to see, right? But it's interesting how, I guess, so I've been hearing people saying, gosh, I'm seeing a lot of people ride again. And I'm just thinking like, I wish we had a way to like put that in a bottle and share it with our city councilors or something.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? We can't necessarily just go get a count really quickly. So how can we prove that? Yet I know because everybody's talking about it. They're seeing more people out on the street and bikes.
Absolutely.
And the bike counts the city does, which is the only thing we have really, is they lag like by many months, it's 9 months later.
And it's 2 hours, 1 day a year.
I'm a little skeptical of those in general. They're cool for like over time periods and stuff, but yeah, so I wish we had a way to capture that. Actually, it's one reason I want to.
We just need a counter on the Going Street curly Q. Because that place, I mean, sometimes I go up and over it and I see no people, but yesterday I saw like 8 people while I was crossing it.
That's cool.
Yeah.
I was thinking that, I used to do this photograph series called People on Bikes. And I've done tons of them. They're on the site. And I would just sit at a spot and just get people going by. It was really fun. But what I liked about it, not only could we like judge people's fashion, which was fun, and just look at people and check them out like voyeuristically, which is interesting from a cultural standpoint. It was also like a demonstration to anybody reading that, elected officials, hello, like how many people go by a certain spot at a certain time, right? And back in the heyday, it was a really powerful thing because I'd put up 70 of them and be like, yeah, I was there, for 20 minutes, whatever. And those aren't even all the shots I got. Those are just ones that came out. So I've been having that in my mind, and I was like, I need to get my knee better in a hurry so I can go finally get some photographs. But so it was like, yeah, the new city council needs to start seeing stuff like that, seeing that there's a lot of people who ride bikes and what they look like. They're not all people in spandex or whatever you want to think.
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how else we got to be able to scale that. There's no official counts that we can look to in a short term. I'm one person with a camera. We could get volunteers to do it, but what if we had like, I don't know, it'd be so neat if we could work with someone in the community, like, that guy that did the AI traffic counter thing, Matt Zajac. I mean, what if we just had those and we could just have like wildlife cameras set up,
Yeah.
And so, on like busier streets, like whatever, Ainsworth, Williams, right? All of a sudden, and then we could have a website that's just pushing out a feed of all these things. I don't know.
Just like a Flickr. Video show.
Something like that. I don't know. It'd be kind of fun. I'm into some way to demonstrate how many people are out there biking, because I think it just makes all of our conversations politically and even with general public, that much better. Like I'm having this weird, people are melting down, these people who live near Rose City Golf Course.
Oh yeah.
There's this Nextdoor thread with like 220 comments. It starts with Bike Portland wins again. I'll read you some of the quotes. They're pretty choice. But they're just like super annoyed. They think the golf course, which the Portland Parks is going to be building some trails around and maybe one trail through, which isn't going to allow bikes, whatever. They think it's going to just be this crazed mountain bike mecca bike park thing. They don't think that actually. That's what they're telling their neighbors because they don't want any new people in their neighborhood, is what it is.
Because they're already grumpy about it being one way now.
Oh, yeah, for sure. It's just really fear of change, and I don't want to share my neighborhood with anybody because I feel like I own these spaces, even though I don't. I only own my house.
But how do you really feel?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so anyway, I mentioned that just because, I think if people, so I went on there and commented.
I love that you're just on Nextdoor, like.
Well, someone told me that they started saying stuff about Bike Portland. Oh, okay. Any like non-bike, well, I'm always interested when people mention Bike Portland or me, because I want to just, know your enemies kind of thing. But I also just like, getting involved in those kind of discussions because they're just rife with misinformation and people who don't understand what they're really getting angry about. And they think that, Bike Portland is some nameless, like weird, anyway. So, but I just said that because I think if people like that really, understood that if we had those wildlife cameras set up and just for getting pictures of bikers, you'd probably see a bunch of little kids following mom and dad jogging.
Yeah.
That's who's going to be on these new upgraded paths and trails, thanks to parks. That's who's going to be on there. It's not going to attract downhillers and all this stuff. It's going to just be kids or some dude just trying to get home and doesn't want to go on the street.
Yeah, or kids from McDaniel High. Like, yeah. I don't know.
It's just like, give
That's
me a break.
who I expect to be riding through there.
Okay, I brought it up, so
let's hear it.
A Nextdoor thread. There's one person on there, Mel. There's a few people obviously that are just super upset. Anyway, Bike Portland wins again is one of the quotes. And it says, Rose City Golf Course has been on Bike Portland's hit list for 2 years. They think somehow I just like push a button and the city does whatever I want. Here's another quote. You can say goodbye to peace and tranquility along the lower bluff. Walkers are second-class citizens now that Bike Portland runs the city. Someone actually typed that, an adult, typed that out and put it on the internet. You got all these people talking about how it's a historic property. I'm like, I don't know if they know that they're playing like NIMBY bingo or not, but now the golf course is historic property, the second oldest golf course in Portland or in Oregon. It should be preserved, not destroyed and turned into a bike park.
What was the golf course before it was a golf course? Do you know? Do you know the history?
Probably Rolling Hills is a huge topographical change, right? From the bluff on Sacramento down to Tillamook. I'm sure it was just like wooded area.
Not like a landfill or something.
Too hilly for housing and stuff. No, not. And then ultimately, like I know Eastmoreland golf courses like that. It was just super wealthy people from Eastmoreland who put in a bunch of money and said, let's build a golf course right here. This would be cool.
Right.
And they built it. So I don't know, maybe Rose City Park's like that too, but bike lobby is going to hijack the golf course and turn it into their own personal playground. This is what, like,
how much does it cost to golf?
People type those actual
Rose
words.
City Golf Course.
It's so weird. Like, are there city council people on there reading that?
What does 18 holes cost?
Oh, not that much. I forget offhand. But did you hear in the mayor's budget they're going to raise the price of golf?
Oh, really?
Golf, the public golf courses.
I didn't hear that. I love that.
Yeah, they wanted to raise it by $1 to raise. No, $1. Yeah, they wanted to increase tee fees by like $1 per player.
Mm-hmm.
And
seems pretty reasonable.
Yeah, too reasonable. That's what the mayor wanted. So then Mitch Green, the socialist DSA candidate, right? He's putting forward an amendment to raise it to $6 or something like that, $5. And he's like, hey, I'm a golfer. I can afford that. We need to raise more money. I don't think golfers will mind. So they're looking to
book a tee time.
Okay, how much does it cost to golf?
Let's see.
Are you trying to prove who's really the elitist?
Yeah.
Okay.
How many golfers are in my party? Just one. Regular public. Okay, I'm playing 18 holes at 5 a.m. Oh, it gets more expensive in
dynamic golf golf pricing.
It's $37 if you go really early.
Okay.
It's $46 for one person to play 18 holes.
Okay.
That seems like a lot of money. Maybe not. I have no idea. I mean, like going skiing's like $80 a day. Yeah,
that seems like a good amount. I don't know how much that has to do with, public. I can imagine a private course. Obviously it's really expensive. There's no mystery that golf is a rich person's sport for the most part. But Portland does have a cool culture of like public golf courses being accessible by non super rich people, which I think is awesome.
It's $28 for 9 holes. It looks like
at Rose City.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
Well, there you go. But people are getting all upset about that.
Times are booked. It's hard to get a booking. You can only book a week in advance.
There you go. So, well, hopefully it becomes a bike play. The trails are accessible by. No, I'm just kidding. It'll be interesting. So that's a fun project. I don't know.
What? I can't believe we're pitting walkers against bicyclists.
This town will pit anybody against bicyclists. That's kind of what we do in Portland, unfortunately. I don't know. Any other... what have you been? What's the Bike Cloud report?
What is the Bike Cloud report?
Advocacy report from Bike Cloud.
We're doing Saturdays in May. We got the next ride is tomorrow from Peninsula Park. We had a ride out in East Portland. 8 people. Not a huge showing, but like a few people showed up for that last weekend. We are, ramping up Bike Buddy. We've got some rides on the calendar for that, and also just like some random rides that Martin, the fun coordinator for Bike Loud, is setting up
for like Bike Summer.
For Bike Summer,
cool.
Yes. What else? I was out of town for a few days, so I'm a little like I'm not quite sure all of the things we're doing. We're going to be at Sunday Parkways in Southwest Portland.
That's coming up, right?
Yeah,
this month.
2 weeks. It's on the 18th.
Okay. Next Sunday.
We're going to be at Gabriel Park. So come say hi.
Fun.
Yeah. Or ride the course.
Yeah.
Southwest Portland is not that far away. I've talked to so many people who are like, oh my God, I can't get there. And I'm like, yes, you can get there. You can ride your bike. You could take the bus, whatever you're into.
The best way to get there.
The bus is not a great.
Barber or Terwilliger?
Yeah. Either or.
Either or.
Mm-hmm.
Terwilliger if you want to chill and maybe do a little
it's
more
a little
climbing.
more chill, a little more climbing. Barber has a bike lane, but the traffic is a little more highway-ish.
Loud and creepy.
Yeah, it's
but
a little louder.
Weekends are a totally different story.
I ride on Barber. I'm not like that's super aggressive aggro person, and I feel okay.
Barber leaving, Barber near downtown Portland, near Southwest is one of those streets that I think, of course, it's owned by the state, or there's a mishmash. It's city and state.
But ODOT, PBOT.
Yeah, it's one of those places where I think my whole idea of like changing lane configurations on the weekends would just be awesome. Yeah. Like weekend lane program, like where there's just no need for, how many lanes are there? 6, 4, 5? I don't know.
It's 4.
Something.
Yeah.
Multiple,
4 lanes.
more than 2 in each.
Yeah. And there's some like really uncomfortable situations where you have to go over these bridges.
Exactly. Yeah.
And there's no bike lane. It's just like a sharrow with a flashing beacon that's supposed to work, but it doesn't always work.
Yeah, there was a whole fight about that on Bike Portland way back in the day.
Or you can take that first right and go up Capitol Highway, which is like kind of a killer climb.
Yeah, true. Up to Hillsdale. But anyway, I just think, on the weekend we could get by with just one lane in each direction on so many of these big multi-lane arterials. Yeah. And you just need a way to like have the barricades go up
Jersey barrier
Friday night, Just do it Friday night and you might save people from like drunk drivers and stuff too as an added bonus. Anyway. Speaking of innovative things to do in the street.
Oh yeah. Tell me more.
I've been interested in the budget discussions at City Council and happy that some of the councilors have reached out and asked for input on street related things, which is always fun. I always reserve the right to like share my ideas and take off my journalism hat and give them my here's what I think hat. So anyway, I'm not sure if you've heard, but Councilor Olivia Clark, District 4, who has some good understanding of transportation, she mentioned it at council on Wednesday when they were having the mayor's proposed budget discussion about sort of like, and this would apply to the whole entire public works service area because now transportation is just one piece of that. There's a couple other bureaus in there. But she's trying to figure out a way to like empower like citizen volunteers in a more like official way to actually get things done. Yeah. And I was just like blown away when I heard that because like, that's right along the line.
Get me out there with a shovel.
Yeah. I've always thought that was like, that is the thing that I think the city could do a better job at, especially in this moment of like existential budget situation. Yeah. It's like, there's so many smart, passionate Portlanders with the time, the knowledge, the inclination, the willingness, to actually do things to make the city better. Mm-hmm. The fact that we can't like empower that is sort of frustrating to me. Like, we do it in some ways, right? Obviously, like people do cool things with like city partnerships, like painting intersections. Sure. There's a pretty robust block party program and that kind of stuff. But otherwise
it's just people sort of getting out there and being like, I'm cleaning the bike lane because you're not.
Yeah. I mean, like you got like Bike Cloud there's 2 really good bike lane sweepers being used right now. I think it's a great example.
And Michael Reese and Eric Wilhelm are basically all of Southwest Portland is like Bike Loud is cleaning the streets.
That's pretty amazing, right? Like, and there's so many more. And then just Jessica Fletcher up in St. John's just did, with the help of PBOT, like that's the thing why I think this should, PBOT already is like making noise. Like they know they can and want to do this, but I just think it could be more formalized and a little bit more, more mature of a program. But yeah, they up there in James John Elementary, they were able to put out some
like hay bales and cones.
Hay bales and cones and kind of like DIY signage to kind of like make some motor filters around the bike bus route to make it safer. I just feel like we should be seizing that and replicating it across the city right now.
And is this what she's thinking, or is she thinking like brooms and rakes,
I'm not sure
shovels
the details.
And fixing potholes?
She's definitely like, I gave her my whole spiel about like street teams, call them street teams, put it through the neighborhood associations or put it through vetted nonprofit groups. Yeah. And maybe they go through some sort of training. Like the city of Portland, I mean, I think it's now housed in Metro, but there's this whole traffic and transportation class, which a lot of people hearing this probably have taken. It was at PSU for a while. I think it still is, but now it's like Metro kind of runs it. It was started by Earl Blumenauer like 30 years ago, right? It's trained like all the planners and tons of people in Portland went through this course. Like you could set up a little crash course for like neighborhood street improvement, just as part of like a quick little training process. And then you'd empower, run it through the neighborhood coalitions. Yeah. And that way, if you needed to fund little things differently, you'd have an entity to do it through. And there could just be a whole set of programs from community initiated diverters and modal filters to, different kind of signage to plaza. You could empower plazas, a little bit more and kind of encourage that. Anyway, I just think there's a lot, and especially look at parks too. I mean, I think she's interested in doing it for parks too. I mean, we're at a point where even the compromises around the parks budget is going to end up as saying less like trash taken out and like, that's really not great. Like we got to keep parks really, really beautiful, or else the whole thing starts to break down. Yeah. So I know people who live around parks who love their parks would gladly, if they were given like a cool vest that said City Parks Team.
Well, there's already a lot of that. I mean,
they would go do that.
The Rose Garden and the Peninsula Park, like there's the Rose Team that does all that work.
There's all these groups. I mean, like look at Strong Towns PDX, who's out there, putting in crosswalks, unsanctioned crosswalks, like I said, there's all these groups that I think would flock to this new, like a program that had some kind of structure around it. And I think it'd be interesting. I mean, obviously the city will have a little bit of heartburn around taking jobs away from union workers, maybe. Yeah. But if we can't get around that, then we're doomed anyway. So hopefully So that was interesting. Yeah. And then another counselor asked me specifically about sweeping streets and, whether or not I thought that was, important to bicyclists. General street sweeping. And I'm like, no. I said, no. I said, general street sweeping is not.
Okay.
Right? Because and I drive a car. I've never been in a car and thought, man, this street is filthy.
Right.
Never. So why are we getting the street sweepers out on the street? Like, maybe, is it because they're getting swept? No, we don't really sweep mud anyway, right? It's just because as a car, you don't feel that kind of thing. It's big and fast and whatever. And not only that, but cars swoosh everything over to the bike lanes and the gutter spaces where people tend to ride. So I was like, if you're talking about bike lane sweeping specifically, yeah, big deal. That's awesome. We need to fund that. But general street sweeping, no.
I just think there's a lot of glass out there. I don't know what's wrong with the glass trucks or like how this happens, but
really,
that for me is the biggest thing that this street sweeping is helpful for.
Yeah, true.
Or break-ins. I don't know.
Yeah,
the glass comes from everywhere.
Yeah. I mean, even bring it back to the citizen core crews, like adopt a block. We don't do much stuff like that. You can get out there and start. But anyway, yeah. That's stuff. Cool. Good conversation about sidewalks and stuff this week at City Council. Really, really interesting. Now we've passed a program that's going to prioritize 2 districts. Yeah. It's a really interesting debate about, whether or not they should be doing policy that's district specific.
Yeah, I heard that Murillo or who was
Avalos, yeah. Councilor Avalos.
Yeah.
Of all people, right? Like
was pushing back a little bit on the district.
I actually like her idea in theory, and I think it's a good example of how politics works. From an intellectual standpoint, what Councilor Avalos is saying makes sense to me. She's like, we already have a system for dictating who deserves improvements when. Yeah. So let's just use that instead of picking favorites artificially through like drawing these lines and policy. So I can kind of understand that in a way, but politically it's tough to back that idea when you can look at a map and say, well, the system we've been using is obviously not working because districts 1 and 4 have no sidewalks, very few sidewalks. Right. And that's basically what won the day. So her thing didn't pass, but, and it was interesting. Yeah. Councilor Loretta Smith, huge W, just to come out and get that. Now they don't have the money yet, so we'll see how. But we're
just printing money though, right?
Yeah.
It's going to be fine.
Debt financing. That's where it's at. I think it's really amazing how Councilor Mitch Green, I'm kind of thinking it and calling it like he's emerging as like the most influential counselor right now.
Yeah. Because he has the economics background.
That's a big part of it. And in this moment of the economics of the city being really fraught, I think that's amazing to have someone with that skill set and he's not afraid to use it. And I just think his sort of like progressive values are a good fit. The way he sees them are fitting the moment well. So he has that sort of authority as well. I think his staff is really good. Anyway, he's kind of all over the place. Like if you noticed, Councilor Novick scrapped his idea to raise the Portland Clean Energy Fund tax because it got shot down by some groups. And so he's given up on that. Now he's gone to supporting Councilor Mitch Green's idea, which is to do some other kind of taxing of the rich that I can't really think of off the top of my head. But, they're going to use the interest from PSEF. They're not going to raise the PSEF tax. They're going to use the existing funding that's there, the interest that it gets, and borrow off the interest or something. So these are like economics
kind
things
of like
that are
skimming the fat.
Well, I think it's an example of like, first of all, Councilor Green cares enough about this stuff to try to find the solutions, which is number one, but also like has the like accounting economics chops to kind of like navigate.
Well, there's a huge amount of interest being made, right?
Yeah, right. It's just
millions of dollars.
Why not use it? Yeah, but if your language isn't economics and stuff, you wouldn't necessarily see that. Yeah. So it takes somebody who can kind of put those things together. So anyway, interesting to see after we're, first 100 days or whatever of council, see where everything's coming down. But it's pretty good. I like it. There's enough spice to make it interesting in terms of them going back and forth with each other, yet nobody's really super mean. Like there was a little bit of meanness from Councilor Eric Zimmerman, but then he got called out on it from Councilor Murillo and Councilor Samir Kanal.
Wow.
She basically said, I would appreciate it if you stop doing that kind of thing. And then when it went back to Councilor Zimmerman, he's like, okay, I hear you. Thanks for calling me out on that. Like, right? Instead of escalating it. I thought that was cool. So,
well, that's good.
Anyway,
I haven't watched a city council meeting in a while.
I've been just trying to catch up.
You're just here. It's like C-SPAN.
I just have it on, like in the shower, getting ready, doing my PT
Wednesday
exercises.
Mornings.
Yeah. I find it really, really interesting and fun. What does that say about me?
I don't know. I mean, this is your realm. It's fine. It's good.
Oh boy.
Somebody's got to watch it.
I mean, yeah. And there's sometimes
other people are watching it.
Interesting little clips, like, I mean, all it takes to me is like one sentence or two. And it's like, did you really just say that? Like, wow. Okay.
Yeah. And you kind of do have to watch the whole thing to get those.
Yeah, kind of
bits.
And I like playing like armchair psychologist and being like, why would you say that?
This?
Oh, totally. Tell me more. Where's that feeling coming from?
Yeah.
Like why? Anyway, unpacking all their like, wherever they're coming from. So you're feeling good about bike summer? Are you like, you're not a huge bike summer? I think we've had this conversation before.
Well, I like bike summer. I like the original rides. I'm not so into the rides that are like the same thing every week or the same people every week.
Yeah.
I want like the really weird creative rides. Like I went on a beekeeper's ride once. That was really interesting.
Like murder mystery ride is a good one for you.
Maria sure does these like bike scavenger hunt things. Those are really fun and engaging. Mm-hmm. I think I'm a little less of the party bike person.
Yeah.
Although I did once go on the mullet ride, which was interpreted in various manners.
Oh, really?
Well, some people had mullets.
Okay.
Some people had bikes that had 2 different size wheels.
Oh, perfect. Those were getting popular, by the way.
Really? We're going back?
I'm telling you, Omnium,
29.
that cargo bike company Omnium that does, I guess it's a cycle truck. I feel like it's a very...
because it's got that front platform.
There's a local dealer that sells them. I'm starting to see regular people buy them, not just cool little shop people, which to me is always a sign that...
Someone's gone mainstream.
Yeah, exactly. What shop people buy, it's like, it doesn't matter. But when normal people...
So you'll see it in the Midwest in like 15 years.
Anyway, yeah. Those are mullet bikes.
I'm into bike summer. I think it's really fun. I think it's also cool that it's completely open source. Like you just put your ride in there. Other cities, if they want to like take the software platform and do it in their own city, it's available.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I think
that's neat.
Totally amazing phenomenon, and still there, getting better every year. Like the people that kind of organize it behind the scenes really do an amazing job.
Yeah.
With like the custom art for the poster. Like it's something like Portland people can be so proud of. Homegrown, like just really expresses like the beauty of this bike scene in such a cool way. And it's got like this history and like cultural legacy behind it. I love it. It's really neat. I can't wait to see how the final list of rides looks. Although there's people throughout the summer that are adding new rides all the time.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm hoping that the Bike Fun app continues to be used and useful. I know the guy that made it moved out of town. And a lot of these projects over the years are cool when they start and then the people move on and they kind of become defunct. But this one, I think he's going to keep it up. I don't know, Aaron, if you're out there, please keep it up.
It is pretty easy to use. You just sort of are like, oh, what's happening today?
I know, it's such a nice tool, right? And like that calendar gets pretty unwieldy if you have to look at a list of like,
absolutely.
You wake up on a Saturday, it's like 13 rides. Like, how are you going to decide? Yeah, the Bike Fun app. Get it if you haven't yet. Make sure your bike is tuned up and ready to go. I mean, it's mid-May.
The lines at the bike shops are probably pretty long right now.
Yeah, don't go in like right before the kickoff ride trying to get your bike fixed. Everybody.
I was just talking to Megan Sinnott about updating the PDX by Bike zine that she and Ellie Blue published like a little while ago. Just kind of giving it a refresh and re-releasing. Kind of getting some fresh energy around that.
Okay, on that note, I want to ask you 2 questions.
Okay.
First question, what would you tell someone who's new to this whole thing? Mm-hmm. They already have a bike, but they're new, and they're just kind of like, I don't know, I heard this thing about bike summer. I don't know, what any like words of wisdom or what would you tell them?
Well, my thing is like, okay, do you like to drink while you're riding? Then do like an evening ride either on the weekend or during the week and like maybe point out a few of the ride leaders that are kind of more into that. And then if you want like maybe more family friendly or like not drinking, do something in the morning on the weekend. And I also like, I don't know, I'll help people just pick a ride out if I'm sitting next to them and we're looking at the calendar.
Like a ride concierge or
But
something.
my other thing is like try a ride out. Feel free to like bail halfway through. I think that's the thing people don't always know. They can just leave.
Right.
If they're not feeling it.
Yeah.
or like the ride goes by your house and you're
that's
just
easier
like,
said than done.
I'm going to go.
Eva, like if there's 7 people on the ride and
you're like, bye.
And the ride leader is so in, like they just put so much, and you're just like, I'm not feeling this. Like that's tough to walk away. It's like fine. Being the person in the front row of a small performance and you get up, like you can't, you just, I don't know. That's tough.
Well,
you gotta choose your spots. Okay.
There's that. And then there's also like, if the ride isn't for you, like just try another one. Like don't give up after one.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because there's definitely always going to be some rides you go to that you're like, this is not my scene. Or the thing where like they hang out in a park for an hour before they leave and you're like, that's not my thing, but that's some people's thing.
Yeah. I mean, I think a good piece of advice would be to double check the event listing for when they actually leave versus when they post to show up.
Or if there's an ish.
Because, or just feel free to email or text the organizer because, some people, like part of the ride is the hangout before. Mm-hmm. And there's always the folks that showed up thinking it would leave and they're just kind of standing there waiting for it to leave. And you're like, hanging out is kind of part of the thing.
I've left before the ride has left.
You're just like, I'm done.
That's my,
I allotted a certain amount of time for this and you're over now. Just kidding.
If you can't leave 20 minutes after the listing. Yeah. So there's the punctuality ride for those people. Or anything that Bicycle Kitty does. She is like on time.
She is very on time. That's right. She definitely has her rules. So I think, my advice to newer people would be keep an open mind. Mm-hmm. Don't prejudge a ride by, I don't know, how it reads or whatever and think you know what it's going to be like. Yeah, don't prejudge anything in this community. Any person. Yeah. First of all, no person, because people are much different than you expect once you get to know them. And that's the whole point of this bike summer thing, I think, is getting to know people. And you're like, wow, this person's not what I thought.
Yeah, maybe lean in a little bit too.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
Maybe don't be scared away.
Yeah, lean in, open yourself up a little bit, and you're just going to really get a lot back for that. Okay, last question.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about somebody who's been there, done that, and is just kind of like, I don't know, I'm kind of cynical. Maybe I'm going to not do it.
Well, then they should make their own ride.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. You're not finding the ride you're into, like make your own ride.
Okay.
See who shows up.
Put up or shut up.
I love when people are like, I'm just going to put my birthday on the calendar.
Yeah.
And like a bunch of strangers show up to your birthday.
That is a sign of a very healthy community when people are like, you know what? There's this whole platform for people to show up to things, and I think
or
I'll
like
just
help
put my
me
birthday
move, help me move my whole house.
Yeah,
like I'm gonna trust a bunch of strangers to carry my stuff from this house to this house.
Yeah, there's a lot of trust in that. Lexi, good luck on your bike move. I know Lexi's doing one today. Her first
Saturday?
one. Their first
today?
one today.
Tomorrow.
Saturday. Okay. I believe. Yeah.
Or whenever day you put this out into the ether.
Yeah, true. Today. Okay, yeah. Well, there's your advice for bike summer. I hope everybody's excited about it. And I don't know, stay tuned. Maybe we'll be highlighting some bike summer stuff here on the pod as Eva does all the rides and tells me about them. I'm going to have a window in June where I'm going to be able to do rides. So I'm pretty excited. In between
the one healing and the other not.
So from June 1st to June 19th, I'm going to try to be
doing one ride a day?
As active as I can. Yes, hopefully. Because I'm one of those people, like the second part of that question, where over the years I've stopped going to as many rides. I feel like I've seen a lot of them and it's not as interesting to me as it once was. But this time, like when something's taken from you that, you realize you took it for granted maybe, and you want to go do it a little bit more. So those first 19 days of June, I'm going to be looking to get out there a lot. And then hopefully at the end of August, I'll be out again.
Awesome.
With any luck.
I feel like June 1st always has like 40 rides listed. So.
I know, it's all the eagerness. And by the end of August, by mid to end of August, people are just like,
I don't know.
Yeah. You start to see all the lines through the rides. People are canceling.
Or the ride is just like, let's go swimming.
Yeah, exactly. Easy rides. Okay, that's going to do it for us for this episode. Eva, thanks for coming over.
Yeah, thanks. See ya.
See you next time.